make a point that you can go to any fast food or any restaurant and navigate through it. So Cheesecake Factory has sugar-free cheesecakes. And those sugar-free cheesecakes are delicious, and they don't mix sugar with fat. So you need to have some knowledge, but if you're armed with knowledge, you can go through and navigate through McDonald's, talk our website, sugarrehabbook.com. That's 2 R's and 2 B's.
Right.
And I explain how to navigate through things so you can live a pretty normal life eating all these restaurants safely.
Now, when you go to these restaurants and they put in these sugar substitutes, aren't those just as bad for you, these aspartames and all these other substitutes?
That's one of my favorite topics. Thank you for bringing that up. We have an obesity problem in the United States. We have an epidemic of diabetes in children and obesity in adults. 80% of diseases in the United States are from obesity, and sugar is 80% of that problem. Sugar substitutes are actually a tool to help obese people and people with these kinds of diseases to go from obese to not obese. There is no data, absolutely no clinical trials that have conclusively shown that sugar substitutes cause disease. They may cause symptoms like headaches. Some people may get headaches from one or the other. You have to find the one that suits you, but in my world, it's an absolutely useful tool to going from obese to not obese.
Right. So sugar mixed with fat is the culprit. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Edelman about how you need to eat better, and obviously when you go to restaurants, them becoming more transparent about what they've got in their foods. Do you support the fact that the federal government is pushing for disclosure, if you will, from these restaurants on their food items on their menus?
I think it's great. But the one caution I have is, and I've asked you to think about it yourself, right? How confusing is an ingredient when it's all labeled out? How confusing is it? I mean, there's so many chemical names and things. We can't even get a mental image of all that. My concern is people are getting lost in the forest and in the trees, and they're not seeing the forest. The forest is the sugar. Look at the sugars per serving, and don't consume anything generally with more than 2 grams per serving.
And how about fat? How much fat should we, once it
I
goes?
don't limit that. Yeah, in my world, I don't limit that because I don't think fat is evil. I think that that's an urban myth. What's evil is combining fat with sugar, because what happens chemically in your body is when you combine those two things, they're bad. But a certain amount of fat in your diet is fine. And what drives me nuts is these low-fat fads. If you look at the low-fat products in the grocery store with that rule that I said, look at the sugars per serving, you're going to find those low-fat products like low-fat yogurt. They've got like 5 sugar cubes per serving. That's what's killing us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, the sugar, I've heard that from so many different doctors and so many different nutritionists. Get off the sugar. That is what's really adding the pounds to you. Thank you, Dr. Edelman. We appreciate that. 748 at News Radio 105.5 WERC.